Today I am reviewing the Dymo LabelWriter 550. This is an amazing label writer. I use it frequently, sometimes as often as 2 or 3 times a day, and it's very convenient. The label writer only uses Dymo labels, so that's an important thing to note. You can't buy other labels and put them in this writer. So these are the labels that go with the writer. They're Dymo labels, 1 1/8 inch by 3.5 inch. The label writer comes with a power cord here and another cord to connect it to the computer here, and those 2 cords are plugged in the back of the label. The label writer opens, and inside is where you see the label. I'm out of the label, so now you get to see how to change the label. Changing the label is easy. You just take out the labels and you undo the label. Next, you take out the label holder and you pull off the end of the label holder. As you can see, you can put it on and off. Take off the old label ring. So you take the label with this part untaped and you turn it upside down so that the label is coming from underneath the roll. And then you take the left part of the inner attachment and you put the roll of labels on it. And then you take the right hand part of the attachment and you slide it on tight and flush against the roll of labels. Then you seat it in the label maker until it's nice and snug, and you'll know when it's nice and snug. Now you take the label and you feed it into the label printer like so, and you just slide it in until you can't slide it in anymore. And then you roll it so that it's nice and neat. Then you just press this button, one of the forward button, to have the label come out. That way you know the label is seated correctly and working properly. Right here is how the application looks in your lower bar on your screen. It's going to say Dymo Connect. That's the name of the program, the application that comes with the label printer. The Dymo program is pretty easy to use. If you look over here on the left-hand edge, you'll see different options for ways you can modify the label and things you can add to the label. Like, for example, you can add a barcode, or you can add a QR code, you can add the date and time. We can look at this image icon. Here you can browse files to try to find an image to add, or you can do a screen grab. And then there are other options for the image. This has to do with line options, barcode options. I'm going to demonstrate how to add a barcode. So let's say I wanted to add a barcode here. I would type in my barcode data, and then I would come here and click on Add. And then I would just come down to barcode, and notice how the barcode pops up on the label, and then I can position it wherever I want. I'm going to hit the undo button up in the top left corner to take the barcode away. Dymo also offers some menu options. Here we have File, which basically is like any file menu pretty much. You can open a new label if you want. And you can come here and maybe you have some recents or favorite labels that you like to use. Or you can make a new label like I'm doing now. You can import data for your labels. Here you can add a network printer. There's an edit menu, cut, copy, undo, an add menu. Now the add menu is the same menu that you see over here on the left hand edge. There's a layout menu where you can align objects to each other or against the edges of the label. Here's a view mode where you can zoom into the label or zoom out, or you can make the label 100%, or you can fit it to the design area, which makes the label big. Notice that the label does have this box here. That's the text box, and that's what you're going to type your data in. So like for example, if you're doing an address, you want that text box to use as much of the label as possible. And then you can double click and start typing your address. Now I have the font size on auto, which means it's going to fit whatever I write into the label text box, which is really nice because that way you don't have to manually resize your text to get it to fit the label. There's also a help feature here. Here's how we print the label. Down here you'll see a print box. You just click on that box and the label prints. So I'm pressing print now, and out comes the label. Please note that the Dymo label printer prints one label at a time, which is really good because sometimes you may only need one label, like if you're mailing one letter, or you may need 1,000. So the Dymo will print each label individually. You don't have to use label paper. I really like the Dymo LabelWriter 5550. I highly recommend it. It's a great product.